So this is going to be a pretty short video today. The other day I posted a video about Canon EF-M mount cameras, and if you have bought one of those cameras like the M50 or the M6 Mark II or the M200, you're also probably wondering what lenses to buy next. And to most people, I've been recommending the Sigma primes, the 16, 30, and 56mm 1.4s, and the 16 and 56mm are kind of a no-brainers because there's no other lenses that can replace them, but the 30mm actually has a direct competitor, which is Canon's own 32mm 1.4, which used to be the only native EF-M mount 1.4 prime before the Sigma lenses were released, which is pretty sad. So today we're going to compare Sigma's 30mm 1.4 with Canon's 32mm 1.4 and see which one's better and which one you should get. So let's get started. First of all, the biggest advantage of the Sigma lens is the price. The Sigma 30mm 1.4 is $289 and the Canon 32mm 1.4 is $479, so it's almost $200 more. So with the Canon lens, are you just paying for the brand or does it actually provide better value? Well, before we compare the image quality, let's take a look at the hardware. The Canon lens is smaller and lighter. It's 30 grams lighter to be exact, and about 1.5 centimeters shorter and about half centimeters narrower. The differences may not seem that dramatic, and the Sigma lens isn't exactly what I would call huge, but you have to understand that these are designed for tiny crop sensor mirrorless cameras, so the small differences in size and weight might go a long way. In terms of build quality, I think they're pretty equal. Neither lenses feel exceptionally durable or expensive, but there are metals where it matters and there are no weird wobbles inside. The Canon lens uses a 43mm filter thread and Sigma 52mm. The autofocus speed seems to be quite similar, but if I had to choose a winner, the Sigma lens actually feels a bit snappier. It was a very subtle difference and I don't think anybody would care unless you're testing them side by side, but I thought it was different enough to worth mentioning here. Comparing the image quality of these lenses did surprise me a little bit. I was willing to bet my money that the Sigma lens would be sharper because most Sigma lenses that I've owned before were very sharp, but it was actually the Canon lens that came out on top. I'm testing this on the M6 Mark II with the 32.5 megapixel sensor, and you can clearly see the difference in sharpness when zoomed in at 100%. It's the same story in the corners as well. Both lenses suffered a bit of vignetting wide open, and starting around 2.8, things looked more even. They both performed the best around f4 to f8, and even then the Canon lens was still sharper. But like I always say, sharpness isn't everything, and both lenses are pretty sharp in my opinion, and these sort of printed text will show the difference in sharpness more clearly than when taking normal pictures, so unless you're looking at these images side by side zoomed in all the way, it may not matter much to most people. The difference between 30 and 32mm isn't very meaningful in reality, but if anything, the 32mm Canon lens should give you a tiny bit more background blur from the same distance. Officially, the minimum focusing distance on the Canon lens is 23 centimeters and 30 centimeters on the Sigma lens, but in reality, I noticed that both lenses can focus at around 20 or 23 centimeters, but at that same distance, I noticed the Sigma lens suffers a little bit of focus breathing. So at that distance, you're going to get much tighter framing with the Canon lens. Both lenses did an okay job managing the flare, but nothing to write home about, but I think it is a bit more pronounced on the Sigma lens. So to summarize, I think the Sigma lens provides a very good value for money here, and the autofocus works great despite it being a third-party lens, and the Canon lens is smaller and lighter and sharper and it can focus closer, but is that worth $200 more? Well, if you do care about sharpness and if you own an M6 Mark II, if you want to take full advantage of that 32 megapixel sensor, the Canon might be the better option for you. But for everyone else who doesn't own the M6 Mark II, I think the Sigma lens is plenty sharp for any other 24 megapixel sensors. So that's it for me today. Thank you for watching, and if you have any more questions about these lenses, just leave a comment down below and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.